Hey, this is for anyone who's in trades and wants to stop doing hourly wages, but wants to earn an extremely high amount of money compared to what you're able to do in your trade. This was an electrician, Rick, and he's now doing 8 flips at a time in Toledo, Ohio. And if he has more than that, he just wholesales it for a $12,000 profit. And so you could tell he's just really not restricted by the hours he's putting in as he has others come in and do the work.
Yeah, what was great was Rick's, how he got introduced into real estate is a lot like how a lot of us have through the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But how he's elevated and grown his business since 2008 has been a really encouraging story.
So give us an overview of your business in 30 seconds.
30 seconds. So I would say we're a small family-owned business. We focus on marketing for rehabs. And while we're marketing for rehabs, off of that, we are able to we'll do some wholesale deals, we'll do buy and holds, and we'll also get listings and auctions off of that. So we have 5 buckets to make money, but our target is always marketing for rehabs.
Got it. And then do you do the rehabs yourself, or are you always giving it to a rehabber, taking that finder's fee, wholesaling?
We'll wholesale sporadically. So once we get over, our team usually can manage up to 8 rehabs at a time. Anything over in that, we'll wholesale off, right? So we don't get too overwhelmed or 2 things sitting. So once we get over 8 flips at a time, we'll assign the contracts and we'll do a wholesale deal. But if it's under 8 deals, we'll keep them rocking.
How'd you get started doing that? Sure, it wasn't 8 at a time.
No. So my background's really simple, man. In 2009, I was an electrician, and work was really bad. I know you guys are probably quite younger than me, but in 2008, 2009, it was bad. If you got laid off in the trades, you were off for about 18 months at least. And there was a guy on the job that was rehabbing houses on the side. And in the job trailer one day, he was reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? And we're working 712s at a refinery, right? It was bad. And I was like, man, how'd you get started flipping houses? And he didn't know how to say, here's how I did it. But what he did do was gave me that book when he was done reading it. And that's what got him started. And that's what got us started, man.
So you're an electrician at a refinery?
Yeah. Well, that job I was on was a refinery. We used to bounce around at a big electrical contracting company here in Ohio, Toledo. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So when did you end up doing your first rehab after reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
So if we read Rich Dad in 2009, I went to my first little event in Cleveland shortly after that. And they talked about wholesaling, private money, your first introductory event. Everybody's been to one of those events. And I was just inspired. And I didn't know what direction it was going to go, but I decided flipping houses was going to be the thing. I didn't know the word wholesaling until 2016, I bet you. So I decided I was going to rehab a house. And we didn't know how, what, or why, but we were construction people. So we knew how to do that, right? So back then you can get on the MLS and find anything you wanted. You could find a million deals. So we found one. At this event, they talked about using your home equity line to be able to buy real estate. So my partner and I didn't know what the hell we were doing, but we knew we had houses. So he got a $50,000 equity line. I had a $30,000 equity line. With those equity lines, we bought some house up here in Michigan and we renovated it like pure construction workers. We didn't know what we were doing, man. It was a mess. 2 electricians trying to rehab a house. But we got done and we did it. We made a little bit of money. And from there, we went and just did it again and again and again with no rhyme or reason. Just did the work.
So you guys were electricians, so certainly you could do the electrical work.
Electrical work. Yeah.
What was it like figuring out how to do what other work do you need to do?
It was horrible. So again, there was no guidance, no coaching, no nothing. So what we did was anybody that had a heartbeat on the job site. So a plumber, hey man, I need a plumber this weekend. Drywall guy, anybody that was in a trade on a job site that would come help us, we hired them to come help us.
Oh, so from when you say job site, do you mean like your actual 9-to-5 job? You'd find people there?
Yeah, off the electrical job site. Anybody, because
cool.
Anybody that knew how to do something, we'd ask them. And then a lot of times they didn't know how to do it, we'd still ask them.
I love it. And so are you still partnered up today?
No, the partnership at that point, it only went for a couple years because the ambition, Kevin's still a great friend of mine, but the ambition, I wanted to go bigger and went and got licensed. I wanted to do more deals than that. And he just didn't. It was fine. He still does a few deals here and there, but we wanted to turn it into an actual business. And that was 15 years ago. And we've done that.
Yeah. Well, it's really common. People start with a partner because it's actually easier when you have a friend. Otherwise you're lonely, your friends are there to understand what you're going through. But then people just grow apart. They have different goals. And so it's tough for the partnership to stick together.
Yep.
But good on you guys that you figured out what you wanted and you both went forward doing what you wanted.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Do you remember how much you guys made on that first deal that you did everything yourself?
Oh yeah, I'll tell you the whole deal of it. Right, we bought it for 45 grand. We were all in it for right around 90, 95. And here's how I got licensed. We put it on the market and we had an offer right away. And the number, I forgot the exact number. We would have made 26 G's right off the bat. And I remember that it was a little less than list price. And the agent said, "Don't come down on the first day. Don't come down on the first day." And me being the ego construction guy, I'm like, "Yeah, we're not coming down the first day. Why are we going to do that? No way." Well, that house sat on the market for like 6 months after that. So we walked out of it and we were in the green. I think we might have made 5 or 10 grand on it or something. But if we would have accepted the first offer, I tell people that now, your first money is your best money, right? Take it and go. If we'd have took that first offer, we'd have made 4 or 5 times that. But so 6 years of misery, tons of interest, and we ended up making just barely 5 or 10 grand.
Yeah. So if you guys had, you had about $80,000 in home equity lines of credit, right? So there's a fee for using that. So you had to hold the house for 6 extra months. And I guess that cost you about $20,000 over 6 months. So, what's the interest payment on that? $4,000 a month ish or so.
Yeah. I think at that time you were getting home equity lines were right around 6 to 7% back then. Yeah. So it was lesson learned, but then it led to, the agent gave us bad advice. So now I got the great idea to go out and get my license. And I said, man, I'm not too sure I should have did that part either, but that's how you learn,
What made you want to do that? You just saw that the real estate agent was making a commission and you thought
saving that 6%.
Yep. Saving the 6%, just like a lot of people think, you're very small-minded. I didn't even know what the word abundant mindset meant back then. And so I thought to myself, well, we were trying to buy all these houses. There was foreclosures everywhere, right? We were trying to buy all these houses, and it got to the point where my agent was just sending us lockbox codes and wasn't even coming out. So we're running around looking at all these lockbox codes, and I started thinking, man, I could do this myself, right? Why are we paying her all this money just to text message lockbox codes? So looking back, it's all part of the journey, right? Now I don't list any of my houses. My son does all that. But it was just part of the journey. Getting licensed really helped us in the business because it helped us learn the back end of all the stuff that goes along with a real estate transaction. But now it's not my favorite part of the business whatsoever.
I always think it's interesting when people, and I'm guilty of this too, when people are like, I'm going to get licensed so I can save the 6%. But what you're not thinking of is that you're also going to pick up 6% more work. So
yes.
Yeah, you save the 6% commission, which might make you a little bit of extra money on the end of the deal, but you're also taking a ton of extra work to have to list the property, you have to show the property, you have to communicate with all the buyers. And to me, it's just like, being in the business 5-6 years, hindsight is always 2020. So you can look back and say, I'm not saving anything. It's way better to get a good realtor.
And the emotions that come with it, man. The retail side of the business is just so emotional. Investing, you're solving problems. You're out helping sellers that need it. You rehab the house. You're dealing with construction people. I mean, that some people don't like that part of it. That was our background, so I don't mind that. And then the emotional side of selling it is just not our cup of tea. Not for me. My son loves it, but I don't want any part of it.
Yeah. You're saying that people are like, they might just not buy it because they're emotional about leaving their old house, or they change their mind about what they wanted in a bedroom size or closet size or something. Pickier, right? Is what you're kind of saying.
Pickier. And a lot of times in today's world, the world's changed a lot over 15 years, especially the past 5. People don't necessarily, no matter how well you set it up on the front end with your client on the retail side of things, a lot of them just don't respect your time, and they don't treat your business like a business, right? And a lot of this can be solved, I guess, but no matter how well you set it up on the front end, you're still getting the weird calls at all different times of the day and night. And hey, what are you doing in 10 minutes? I found a house on Zillow. I want to go see it. Like, now, can you drop what you're doing and come do it? And it's just a different world. And personalities have changed a lot over the past few years, and people are very, the patience is not there. Right. So we just find it better to manage rentals and flip houses.
I gotcha. So how many rentals do you guys have?
I think we're right about 25 right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
I've got about 19. Ryan's up on 50 actually.
Good for you, man.
Right?
3.
What are
How
you at?
many?
63?
Mm-hmm.
Good for you,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I want to ask some questions about the rental property management. Is that something that you do on your own?
We brought it in house. So when we only had maybe 10, when you first get in that, when I hired my first coach, it was always, treat it like a business, outsource your property management, all the things. And we did
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
And what I learned is the market that we're in is the number one market in the United States of America. And it's the most affordable market in the United States of America. So everybody around the country and world comes here to buy real estate. So you
Mhm.
have all these property management companies that aren't necessarily someone that I would recommend. And we had an issue with some thieving from our property management company, and I couldn't stomach that. Even at such a small number of rentals, I said, if we don't solve for this now, we're going to be in trouble as we scale it.
Yeah.
That was at that time before, in the middle of the pre-pandemic and early pandemic, we were going really heavy on the rentals, and then the market shifted, right? But what happened was we found out they were getting money from us, and it just wasn't going well. So I brought my sister, which was doing all of our books and all of our back end stuff. It was really easy just to plug her into the property management through a platform that it's called Buildium. She just manages all the rentals right through a rental platform, and it's worked out really well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, the property management business as a third-party property manager is a very tough business, actually. And here's what I mean by that. I've always self-managed, even to this day, at 19. But if you're a property manager, you make basically like half of the first month's rent for the whole year of managing that property.
Yep.
So in Ohio, in Missouri, in Indiana, where all of us are investing, the average rents may be like $1,000, let's just say $1,000, right? I have some that are $2,000, but anyway, so if you're going to live off of your income from property managing, you have to have 50 to 100 properties.
Yep.
So you're basically going to care it. You're going to want to try to find somebody that has like 100 properties or 50 properties. And if you have less, if you have 20, if you have 10, or if you have 5 or even 1, you're really not going to care as much about their properties as you do the portfolio that's your main bread and butter that you need to have like an actual living salary. So I'm never mad at property managers. I just know that's just got to be how it works, right? It's like and then the number one reason why property turnover happens, which is the leading indicator of a well-performing portfolio or a poor-performing portfolio. If you don't get those turnovers quick, or if you just have turnover, if people don't stay a long time, your portfolio is not going to perform as well. And the number one thing that affects that is actually the communication from the manager, how quickly they get those maintenance requests done. So again, I think just balls get dropped if you're just if you have less than 100 properties. And if you have 100, you might as well just do it in-house. So that's why I just think third-party property management, it doesn't seem to be a great fit for anyone, really. Right. I can tell. It's just a tough business, I think.
Nobody's loving your properties or paying as much attention to your properties as you will.
100%.
And the things that, like, we struggle with this too, because we had hired out third party and still have third party on a portion of them as we slowly try to pull all of them back in. But I've tracked like the stats of how many vacancies and how many delinquencies they have versus how much I have. And, this isn't, tooting my own horn, but my occupancy rate is significantly higher and my delinquency rate is significantly lower, to almost to where we're at zeros. Like I'm 100% occupied and everybody's paid on time. He has like 18 of my properties and half of them are late, and there's always 2 that are empty. And he's managing hundreds of properties. My 18 are, to David's point, small fish. Like he's paying attention to the big picture portfolio, or even somebody that may have more properties than me that are paying the bills. My 1 or 2 mean nothing.
Right.
And what are some struggles that you've seen in self-managing that are things that you're trying to work on, or you're working on, or problems that you've solved?
So the main thing on the front end was screening tenants properly. And so we've built out an entire system off of, my sister has, on how we bring somebody in leveraging our tools, right? We're really fond of Buildium. I connected with another guy here in town that has like 1,000 doors, and he gave me some resources One of them was rent manager, and one of them was Buildium. And he said anything under 150 units, Buildium is perfect. So we jumped into that. We leveraged everything they have, the screening tools they have in there, and all the work is done on the front end. So what happens, I've seen, especially with mom and pop or self-managing people, they get anxious and they just want to put anybody in, right? Without going through the process. And that's the biggest thing, because they want to get somebody in there, they want to get rent coming in, but then they end up paying more because the tenant sucks, or they didn't screen it the right way, or they find out they're moving a bunch of people in, whatever the case may be. I just think your due diligence on the front end and having a good quality product. All of our houses are turnkey rentals. We rehab every one of them. We found that's the best way to go, because your maintenance is real low. Another thing would be, when we first started, we went and did checks every year. We'd go through them. Now we go through them every 6 months. Every 6 months, my sister will go through and do a property check, a maintenance check, and just kind of keep them, in line, and they know that's coming. Yeah. And one of the other little nugget that people can use is our contractors. So we have twice a year, we do gutter cleanings, right? So we have our every 6 month check. In between that, every 3 months, they go out and they clean the gutters, fall and winter and things like that. So essentially, we have eyeballs on our property every 3 months, no matter what.
Yeah, that's awesome.
One of the biggest things that I fell for, because if you do it on your own, I guess you are going to fall, you're going to learn some stuff.
Oh yeah.
I actually had a couple scammers hit it once. And so they signed the lease, but the person who moved in wasn't actually the person who was on the lease.
Oh no.
And so I think they were just kind of like using a fake identity, subleasing to someone else. And then I didn't find out till they stopped paying, because they probably didn't have the income to qualify for it, or, whatever. And then like 6 months later, I didn't get a payment, but then I couldn't like communicate with the person who was there. DealMachine says who rents it. And so I found the right person.
Really?
And was able to file the eviction with the proper name. Because, if you evict the wrong person, then you have to start the whole process over again.
Right.
So yeah, it was a great, happy surprise about the DealMachine data that helped me get that identified and done quickly.
Really? That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It was like an interesting, so they had some similarities. So they always like didn't want to see the house, and they always wanted it like right away. So those are just two red flags. Like, but they would use actual, they would submit through the Zillow application, which does a background credit check. They would submit like a real like person. Like I was looking at it, I was like, oh, this person looks legit. So we basically just now make them meet up in person for the lease signing to show a photo ID to make sure it matches what's on the application that they submit, and the background check that they submit, just to like kind of cut that option out for them.
Right. It's a crazy world we live in, isn't it?
It is. Have you guys had to do any personal verifications like that on your side?
So she'll run it through the background checks that comes through the platform. She will run it through. Then we do the in-person meet up. So she meets everybody in person. After we run through, they pay the $40, do their application. And then once that filters through, if we're ready to take next steps, then she'll jump on the phone and ask a few other questions, and then set the in-person meetup. And then that's when there's actually 3 touches. There's the application, there's the phone call, and then there's the actual in-person meetup.
Got it. Okay, cool.
And we're all local, right? So our whole portfolio is right here in Northwest Ohio. So we keep it local, so not any virtual stuff or anything like that.
Yeah. So how do you decide, back to what your core business was? You do 8 flips, and then you do wholesale deals if you're at 8 capacity and you find a deal. How do you guys decide if you're going to keep it as a rental or flip it?
Wherever we're at, in number one, the numbers, and we do the Burr model for our rentals, right? So if we're just lately, our influx of rehabs has been high, right? We've been just doing a lot of deals. So now that we have plenty of inventory in the rehab world, a lot of those, instead of rehabbing them, selling them or wholesaling them, we'll keep them as rentals. Now, the past couple of years, when rates went up to 7 to 8%, we really backed off of that, right? So rates went up, but so did the price points of our rehab. So we're like, let's go cash heavy. So we've just been going cash heavy now for a couple of years. Well, now the rates are coming back down. I think yesterday they were down into the high 5s, low 6s. So that's more doable, right? So now as we're going into Q2, we just picked up another rehab this morning to where I would say right where we're at today, if another lead came in, we're at 7 or 8, we would probably start keeping them as rentals until we started selling the rehabs. So it's just kind of where we're at in the business.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Yep.
So you guys are doing BRRRR, which means you're going to finance them. How are you adjusting with the higher interest rates to keep your cash flow in check?
Just monitor, analyzing them at higher numbers we just plug in a 6.5 or 6.25 on our deal analyzer tool rather than 3 like we used to. And if the numbers work, the numbers work, but we analyze it at a higher interest rate with a 20-year AM is what our lender does with a 5-year, 5-year arm, I think is what they're at. 20-year AM, 5-year arm. Yep.
And you're what rate were you saying? 6.5?
Yeah, we're plugging them in at 6.5 right now, and we're hoping the rates have dropped over a point over the past 10 days. We're hoping that we can get back down into the high 5s.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Yeah,
we're not getting that in Missouri, and I don't know why. No,
I think it's coming, man. I think it's coming. I think it's only a matter of time. I think they'll get back down.
Yeah,
we just try to buy at deeper discounts.
Yep.
That's just kind of what it is. It's not quite as easy as it used to be, but that's still doable. You know,
for sure.
What do you actually think is like the average deal breakdown? How much do you buy it for? How much you put into it? How much you end up making? Would you mind sharing that?
Yeah. So our constraints are we keep everything in the first time home buyer price points. In our market, everything under 275, 250-ish ARVs. We like to buy at 40 to 50% of ARV. Sometimes we get better deals. Sometimes we don't get such good deals. Depends on the project. We got one really pain project. It's a $180,000 house, but we picked it up for $15,000. Now that's probably going to get 85 in it, so we'll be all in for about 100. But our traditional deal is 6 weeks, usually purchased at 50% of ARV. Our rehab costs are usually generally between 30 and 40,000. And the reason I say that is because every one of our deals is exactly the same. We run our business like a product going down the assembly line. It's always the same product, the same cabinets, the same showers, the same light fixtures, the same color. Nothing changes, right? The only thing that changes is a little bit of the square footage of the house. Yeah. But everything's very dialed in when it comes to that. And then for our rehabs, we like to try to hit a $35,000 profit off of a 4 to 6 weeks rehab.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
4 to 6 weeks, not bad. $30,000 on what's the average square foot? 1,500 square foot?
I would say 12 to 18 is our kind of sweet spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you ever just estimate stuff by square footage, or do you go very detailed on exactly every single thing that would need to be replaced and rehabbed?
When we do a property walk, we can pretty much dial it in. We don't really do square foot costs anymore. I mean, I can walk through a kitchen and tell you it's going to cost $6,000, or a bathroom's going to cost $3,500. I mean, our costs are so dialed in that we just kind of go room by room.
Mm-hmm.
And square foot. The only thing we do is square footage price is our flooring. We'll take 50% of the floor at $4 a square foot for the vinyl plank, and then the other 50% of the flooring, usually carpet, will be $1.68 a square foot. So we just kind of things like that.
Are you guys fans of carpet?
So we put carpet in the bedrooms.
Okay.
Unless it's a rental, we'll vinyl plank everything. If we're gonna rehab it in this market, they like carpet in the bedrooms. Everything else vinyl plank.
Yep.
So I imagine as you guys are doing like 8 at a time, you guys have some really slick discounts on paint materials that really help keep those costs down and keep your profits bigger.
Yeah, we try to, we just use Home Depot, man. And we use Home Depot and a cabinet supplier right down the street that we've been using for 15 years. And the discounts aren't what they used to be. I can tell you that. They like to tell you they are, but they're not what they used to be. But where we do better is systemizing everything. And I thought we were going to start buying in bulk, but we didn't. But by keeping where we make our money is our timelines. By having everything duplicatable, our scopes are dialed. We have a demo scope and a demo scope for everything that's coming out, and a scope of work for everything that's going in. So essentially what we like to do is the second I sign the documents, it's being demoed within a half hour that day.
Nice. Right away.
Yeah, we like to have them demoed and done within 24 hours, and mechanicals happening the next day, and then lead right into drywall repair. So where we make our money is our systems that we have for rehabbing the houses. We do get discounts from Home Depot and the contractor, the wholesale prices. The contractors tell you they give you, but where we really make our money is keeping our timelines thin.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because
Yeah,
3,000-4,000 bucks in financing costs, or
it's
just
a
and
lot.
also lack of revenue. Yeah, exactly. Is a big deal.
Yeah.
What's the most you made on a house, do you think?
Most we ever made in a house, I think, is just short of $80,000.
That's pretty
Yep.
good. And the price
That's
point of the
great.
houses are got to be around like what, 200K?
That one was back right when COVID started, and
Got it.
the rates were like zero back then, right?
Yeah.
And that one was a $280,000 house that we picked up for 80 grand, and I'd have to do the rest of the math, but I know I think we ended up profiting at about 79,000 on that deal. That was a nervous one because that's back when everybody thought the world was going to end, and we didn't know. We just kept going. Everybody's like, oh, some people are like, oh, batten down the hatchets, we're all going under. And I'm like, forget that. We just kept rolling. And thankfully, money was free, so people were still buying houses at that point in time.
Yeah.
Now, doing a house in the 300 price range, we probably wouldn't do that. We'd want to keep it down under 250 because that's where all the first time home buyers are.
Yeah, totally makes sense. I was wondering, how do you guys find most of your leads? What are all the ways that you do to bring in those leads for?
Great question. So we use DealMachine, right? There's always there's three of us. My son, my sister, and I are always out on the road. And every time we're on the road, if something pops up, we run it through DealMachine, number one. Also, TV commercials has been a great resource for us. We've evolved into the TV commercials, and we're actually going to go back now. My son's actually working on this as we speak with direct mail again through DealMachine, because what's happening is there's a ton of foreclosures again. Like there wasn't for a long time. Now there is. Yeah. So what we're trying to do, and maybe you guys can help me with this if you know any of the tech side of the DealMachine, we want to create a template inside of our DealMachine of a mailer that matches, as seen on TV, all of our local branding, that we can just click a button and shoot it out every time we see one on the road.
Yeah, I got you, man. You can do custom mail designs in DealMachine. You can upload your own. But if you just send me, or I could go look on your website and create one for you, and then you can approve it, and I'll load it in your account for you.
Oh, man, that would be like, thank you for that, buddy.
Of course.
Yeah, we're really big, and I would recommend anybody listening to this. So the virtual thing's so popular now. We're big on personal branding and your local belly to belly. We're belly to belly business. Mm-hmm. Small, lean, make really good money, but really focus on helping people, right? Yeah. So I was looking at this the other day, and I'm like, man, how can we leverage this DealMachine to where I don't need to do a big direct mail campaign, right? But I want to send out our personal branding, like our website, to a house that I know is going in foreclosure, has an auction date set up. How can I send this to that person and still have it match all of our personal branding, the as seen on TV, right? So people, so it just goes in a circle of marketing.
If you have a link to your commercial, I'd love to see that, and then I could use that to inspire the postcard design.
Okay, got it. I'll send it over to you.
Are you guys? Tell me about. Are you building any lists? Are you using any of the data in DealMachine?
So yes, I went through for years. We did the text messaging, the cold calling, the whole team of VAs, all that. And we used nothing but the DealMachine data. I think at that time we were getting 50,000 a month or something. I can't remember I think 50,000 a month we were allowed to pull. Yep. And our entire business was built on outbound marketing using the DealMachine data, and it went well, right? And it went really well. And what I learned as we grew, I didn't know anything about inbound marketing besides direct mail. Yeah. I was inspired by a guy that's actually in Missouri, in Wichita, or no, Kansas City. Wichita is in Missouri, right? Kansas, Wichita, Kansas, I think. Yeah. So Tony's got you guys might be familiar with some of the mastermind stuff at 10X TV. And we just went in and tried TV. I didn't know anything about it. And that really evolved our business because it gave us more credibility and more of the homegrown feel when you're sitting in somebody's living room, was because there's so many people trying to market and come to Toledo, and they all position themselves as being local house buyers. They're not. I mean, some of them are quote unquote industry leaders, right? And they call themselves local home buyers, and they're not. Well, when the customer gets my son and I sitting in their living room after they just saw us on TV, absolute game changer. There's no competition anymore, right? I mean, there just isn't, because everybody's trying to market to buy properties saying they're here from Toledo. They're just not. Toledo's a small, everybody knows everybody town, right? So that really changed the game for us. So now how we use the Deal Machine is when we're out and about and when we want to target individual foreclosures or inheriteds or zombie properties, that's where I physically do the calls myself. That's my niche in the business, is talking to sellers.
Got it. Well, cool. I'm glad that's working out well for you guys, and cool to hear how you've done inbound marketing with the commercials, et cetera.
Yeah. It's all been it's just a circle. Anybody doing marketing, you start off with the doing the work, and then you evolve into it's obviously there's much more of a cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
The best low cost resource there is Deal Machine. I would tell anybody that. Like in our coaching program, when people ask, how do we get started? I said, well, you're driving for dollars, and here's how you're going to do it. We have a whole system on how we teach people how to drive for dollars using Deal Machine, right? And then it evolves into bigger things over time, But for anybody that wants to get involved in real estate investing, and you're willing to do the work and put in the time and the effort, there's not a better platform than what Deal Machine offers.
Agreed. When you're going to start the mail, other than the template, is there anything data-wise that you have struggled to pull or find? A few examples would be, I was able to pull a list of double lot properties for several investors where you could make 80,000, or you could break even on the flip, but split off the second part of the lot, and to sell that, for example, to really make the deal work. That was one of them. Other people wanted me to pull the list of all the agents in their region and tell them like how many listings each of them had pulled, so they could build relationships with the top agents. Any data thing like that, where if I could just like wave a magic wand and solve it, that would be helpful for you.
Yeah, it's funny you should ask that, man, because we're making a pivot right now in our business into we finally just started taking on nastier rehab projects. So I hired a structural general contractor, and he's doing a great job. So my brain started spinning yesterday, and I said, how do we start marketing for vacant land in our local market? These little city lots all over the place that are vacant. And instead of chasing leads to acquire rental properties, how do we build to rent? How do we build nice little 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath boxes, right? Self-built, we build them, and then keep them as rental properties.
Love it.
So the answer would be, marketing for vacant land or houses that need to be knocked down.
Yeah. So for the vacant land, first of all, we have a vacant land filter. And if you're looking for infill, like you don't want vacant land that doesn't have a road to it, right?
Right.
So in most places, you could use the municipal sewer filter, because if it's in a subdivision, if it's an infill lot, it's going to have a sewer. So that's a good way to filter that out.
Yeah.
And then the corporate owned ones are also no problem. We were able to pull in the officers, for that to be able to contact them. So I'll get on in your account and just do that for you, and I'll make a little video so you can see how I did it.
Oh man, that would be cool. It's funny you should ask that. We were literally just going over this last night. I'm like, how do we evolve this and maybe do a couple, handful, maybe 5 new builds a year or something, and keep them as rental properties?
Yeah. And then if you want properties that have to be knocked down, I think that there's would they be vacant houses? Certainly nobody would be living in them, I guess.
I would say now this was just a brainstorming idea that we were thinking about. It might be say it's in a good area, but it's a junk property. We can scrape it and do a new build.
Yeah. So the way I would tackle that would be, let's see what the land is worth. So in a good area for you, what do you think the land is worth? Like 70,000?
To be honest, I have no idea. I've never gone down that path. This all literally just started yesterday. Cool. I know that the city lots, they're giving them away. Like the city lots, they're like giving them away. They have what's called a land bank here. So our next step is for me to go down and talk to the city and find out how we can get cheap land in good areas, because they want nice houses built on them.
Copy that. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, I'll go ahead and I was wondering what you define as a good area. I guess what would the home values be in that area?
Okay. So I would say home values, man, it's so different now because they've all doubled over the past 2 years.
Right.
I would say for our rental properties, 1,300 a month is probably good. So I would say anything 130,000 plus, right? Because anything below, we want to make sure the
Correct.
values of our
It needs to
houses
make
are.
money. It's got to have comps and stuff.
Yeah. I want to make sure that we have 3 exits on it. We do 3 exits on every deal, right? We either list it, wholesale it, or flip it. Let's say 130 to 150 ARVs.
Okay, great. Well, let me get in there, pull those type of lists for you. I'm glad to take the opportunity to do this, just to make it easier for you. And then I'll show
That's
you how
cool,
I did
man.
it, and it'll be in your account, so you could send mail or call or anything that you guys want to do.
That's awesome, man. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Anything else?
No, man, I'm really excited. You know what? If we could work out that way to do the direct mail piece, I mean, we'll implement that today. Or tell me what we need to do to make it so it's like branded to us.
Yes.
Should I send you a picture of our little team that we have on all of our marketing, or?
Yeah, if you have the commercial, send it to me, or your website with the picture. Anything like that, I'll be able to use and put together a really great high converting card for you guys.
Cool, man. And the what's the target when you do that? Do you do it direct? Like I say, we're strictly foreclosures. Do you just hit the fact that you're targeting foreclosures, or do you do more broad so you can send it to different types of clients?
I was going to do it broad so you could use it for anything. And
Beautiful.
If you want to make it more specific, we can just clone it and then modify it. So, I'll just start with broad though.
Beautiful. Yeah, man. I'll send it over to you as soon as we get off this. I really appreciate that. We literally were just having this conversation this morning.
Hey, you're welcome. Another tip I just randomly wanted to pass on is people who are hosting garage sales are 17% more times likely to sell their house than just the average house. So
really?
That's recent niche lists that I heard people having success over, specifically in San Diego, actually was the team. They do a lot of testing. So if you're just looking for that new niche list, I would say try to see what kind of garage sales are happening this weekend. And let's, add them to who you're marketing to and see if anything pops, I'm sure there's like a website for that in your area. Off the top of my head, I don't know what that would be, but just another idea for you.
Yeah, no, that helps, man. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. All right, man. Well, thanks for your time, Rick. I really enjoyed learning about your business and your journey. How long has it been? You said since 2009. So you've been in the business for 15 years.
We broke ground with Howell Properties. We created the entity in 2010. That's awesome. And it's definitely hasn't been easy, but it's been worth it. It's been a long time, and it's anybody listening to this podcast, just know that whatever your business looks like today, it might look a little different in 10 years, but just keep learning and growing. And, real estate offers you so many different opportunities to make money.
It does. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time. Congrats on your success. And I hope to see you at Mastermind soon.
You got it, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it too, David.
You're welcome. Thanks, Rick.
See you later, Ryan.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.